It looks like when the world needed me most, I would return. Hello, friends! Welcome back to Maskmaker Buddy's YouTube channel. And thank you, my lovely fans, for 600 followers! I can't believe it! It's amazing! I never thought I'd get this far when I was 14 and started this. If you've heard my voice, don't worry about me. I'm just dealing with COVID right now. And it sounds bad, but I'm actually doing pretty okay, and I'm gonna get better real soon. But I thought, while I'm suffering, I might as well bring you a video, 'cause I owe it to you guys. 600 followers? Come on. Now that deserves a video in of itself. So, while recovering from this illness, I've decided to rewatch the Bionicle trilogy. The fourth one doesn't exist. No one acknowledge it. And while I was watching the movies, it reminded me that Bionicle wasn't a stranger to retconning. Now, if you don't know what retconning is, please watch Ninjago. They like retcon tons of stuff every other season. I mean, no joke. So basically what a retcon is when an established part of the storyline is told, but then a couple of movies, stories, or comics later, that whole lore is completely changed. It's a pretty messed up thing when that happens, but normally it's done to keep the story refreshed or, just basically add some drama or stake or just fix an issue that may come up. Now, of course, there's many retcons I could cover, but I'm only going to cover 5 since, I don't want to piss off the whole community, as some people think these retcons were good, and some people think they were generally bad. So I'm going to cover the ones that really caused a stir in the community, and I'm going to do my best to give them justice. Remember, I'm not a die-hard fan. I'm a die-hard fan of the sets, not the comics. So if I mess up, it's my mistake.
And without further ado, the top 5 most infamous Bionicle retcons.
Number 5 has to go to the Makuta retcon. Now, since 2001, we had known the Makuta as an evil being who had betrayed Maranui. And, basically, he was the main bad guy. However, in 2006, we were introduced to the lore that was the Brotherhood of Makuta. And at first it seemed like some kind of cult that worshipped Makuta, but it turns out Makuta was a title. And basically, Makuta's real name was Pterodax. Of course, a lot of fans found this really meh, because we, for years, had known him as simply the Makuta. And now, in 2008, we got tons of characters who had Makuta in the title. It kind of took away the charm of the name, and a lot of people found it really unnecessary, and a lot of people still don't like it to this day. Of course, I, for one, put this at the bottom of the list because I don't really think it changes anything, because we can still call Makuta Makuta. It's just that now it's some weird title. Still, it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Anyway, let's move on. Number 4 is the extinction of Pohatu Brown. Now, Pohatu Brown was introduced back in 2001 for the first Pohatu set. It was quite a common color used in LEGO, since it was dark brown. I can always reminisce of the old pirate ships that had this color. Anyway, basically, in 2004, LEGO was phasing out their colors. There's conflicting reports on why they did this, either for the Star Wars license or to get rid of issues with certain colors of yellowing, notably the grays and the whites that would noticeably yellow over time. This is why we have bluish gray. In certain colors got updated in certain lengths. You can look up plenty of videos that cover this, or plenty of topics. Anyway, for the 2004 TOA, Pohatu Brown did not make a return. Instead, we got almost a light-colored brown. And then in 2006, it was completely discontinued when we got Huki, who had a completely different color scheme of yellow and gunmetal. To add insult to injury, in 2007, his color was then changed to black and yellow. which a lot of fans did not like. And then, to add even more salt to the wound, LEGO then released Pohatu again in 2008. However, he was now an orange color. Thus, Brown was officially dead. I can't find any confirming reports about this, but it's rumored that this was made canon in one of the comics that Pohatu was always orange. However, I cannot confirm this, so do not take this as my word. This is what I heard in a discussion board a long time ago. A lot of fans really wanted the return of Pohatu's brown color. However, LEGO never did such a thing. Even with the new 2015 sets, Pohatu's brown color was not returned to normal brown. Of course, there have been many discussions as why this happened. Maybe Pohatu brown is just a brittle color to begin with. I mean, I have a lot of broken LEGO pieces that are in the color brown. Or maybe it had to do with the change. Or who knows, honestly. It's not really clear why this was done. And we did get a brown construction figure in Hero Factory, so it's not like they couldn't do it. So I guess comment down below why you think Pohatu Brown was retconned. I'd love to know. Number 3. Now this retcon has to do with being forced to change a few names, and maybe a few others that I'm forgetting about. Anyway, here's how the story goes. When Bionicle was launched, the designers borrowed, a couple of words from the Maori language. For example, Toa supposedly in Maori means warrior, and Tahu means fire, and a couple of the other Toas mean basically their elemental power. Anyway, the story goes that the Maori people weren't too big of a fan of this and found this disrespectful. The biggest one being the Tahunga, which is a very important symbol and status in their tribe. Anyway, there's been a bit of controversy over this topic, as some fans don't think this whole lawsuit took place and think it was more of LEGO just not wanting to get sued. However, I did find an article from The Guardian, dated 2001, that said that they were sued by the Maori people, so I'm gonna say it probably happened. Regardless of what really went down, LEGO renamed the Tahunga the Matoran, and a couple of characters were also renamed. Jala was renamed Jaller, Huki was renamed Huki, and Maku had her name respelled as well. And a couple of other characters had their names spelled differently to avoid any more issues. And thus you know now why LEGO does not mess around with any cultural stuff that will offend people. Ninjago, if anything, plays it safe. For the most part. Of course, this controversy isn't really too big in the community, but it's just an infamous retcon that I thought I'd bring up. And really, it's, probably one of the most minor ones, but still really important, as for a short amount of time, these guys were referred to as the Tahunga and not the Matoran. Why do I have to do this to myself? I must torture myself with this. Number 2 is the whole year of 2005. Oh boy, this is a big one. A lot of fans have expressed their disappointment with the year 2005, and there has been a certain amount of people defending it for what it is, and saying it was actually not that bad of a year. I'm actually one of the probably few in the minority who actually think the Web of Shadows movie is probably the best in the trilogy. I know that's gonna sound really controversial, but I honestly could care less. And besides, what are you gonna do? Dislike?
Nothing you could do, nothing you could do, nothing you could do, nothing you could do, nothing.
Oh man, but seriously, YouTube, please fix. Anyway, so basically, here's the story of this retcon, infamous retcon. Basically, LEGO wasn't sure if they were gonna renew their contract with Miramax, so basically they decided to end the second movie with a happy ending. However, Miramax agreed to a new contract renewal, so thus, a third movie had to be made. So, the team decided, we're gonna make a prequel of the prequel, sandwiched between those few seconds we saw of the Toa escaping to Matanui. Because, yes, we're going to make a retcon of a thing we just released. I mean, then again, Ninjago does it every other season, so it's not too shocking. But, basically, the whole year of 2005, a lot of fans say didn't need to happen, as we saw Vakama go through a growth of being a good hero, and eventually standing up to evil, and then he just becomes another depressed Canadian, and basically gets a waifu who he simps over, and we get an unnecessarily dark movie. I mean, I can understand the criticisms this movie gets. I mean, sometimes the characters don't seem too reasonable. Matt Tao becomes a jerk when the previous movie, he was a laughable idiot. And it just seems uncharacteristic of Vakama to do these certain things, but I personally think the movie is good. What the critics say about it, it's mixed opinion, but still, definitely a good movie. But was it a necessary retcon? I don't personally think so. I mean, I guess we did need to know how the Makuta escaped, but it's probably one of the most divided retcons fans have, whether or not 2005 was necessary, and whether or not we really needed it. But I guess when the 20-year anniversary of Web of Shadows happens, we'll definitely have a lot more time to talk about it. Anyway, moving on. So, here are a list of honorable mentions of retcons that I'd love to mention, but they unfortunately get the honorable mention. Kopaka's moving eyepiece. In 2001 to 2002, Kopaka's eyepiece was on the right eye. However, for the 2008 set, his eyepiece mysteriously moved to the left. No one knows why this happened. Maybe Kopaka had a change in political party. Nobody knows. Next honorable mention. The red star. Remember that mysterious thing in the Bionicle online game? Well, guess what? Now it's a plot device that takes all our dead fallen Bionicle characters and resurrects them. Hey, Greg, I want to ask you a favor. Is Makuta in this star? Because he technically died. Huh? I want to get an email over this. Next, we got Retcon star. If there's any other retcons you think I should mention or try doing another video on, just comment down below. And the motherlode of all retcons, the one thing that divides Bionicle fans, making them want to tear out their hairs and just want to send hate mail to Greg Farshty, is no love. Oh boy, this is a big one. So, here's a bit of history. A lot of times, the Bionicle games were basically working with loose information and had to come up with their own storyline. They had influence from the team, but the people who were writing the books definitely weren't working with the people who were making the games. One of the biggest controversies that came out of this was a love circle. Now, it had been established that Maku had feelings for Huki, and that was pretty cool. But in the next Bionicle online game, the Borok series, we see that their relationship has almost taken a gradual step from what we previously saw. However, Greg Farshty went on to say, basically, Bionicles can't physically love, and he felt love was basically too complicated for such a storyline. Now, this angered and outraged fans, as not that they wanted to see Huki and Maku together. It kind of took away the emotion of the story. I mean, sure, they're just biomechanical beings, but it's clear these people are a community and they feel for one another, whether that be brotherly love or just passionately, feeling something for each other. You can't tell me that Jala and Holly didn't feel something in that first movie. I mean, generally, emotions are kind of a complicated thing for a storyline, but they exist. It's not like you can just erase them. And definitely, it didn't take away, but it was just something that not a lot of fans felt like, it was something that really needed to be taken away. I mean, are we one to say that biomechanical beings can't have emotions? I mean, it's probably one of the biggest retcons that everybody generally does not like, or there are the minority who are like, who cares, it's a toy line, but we care, we're the fans. So tell me below, what was the retcon you felt the most betrayed over? Was it a minor retcon? Was it something you were simply pissed over? Was it Golly's ugly mask in 2008? So, it was nice doing a video again. I mean, another year has gone by and I haven't uploaded anything, and I'm still getting followers, so I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, thanks guys, you know. This page has really grown, and I can't believe I'm like 20 years old and I still own this thing, so just keep following me, and gradually I'll be posting once in a while. You know, ideas pop in my head, but sometimes they never materialize, but you know, it's all a matter of timing. And hopefully I'll beat this COVID thing and get back to what I do best, buying tons of Lego. I'm Mask Maker Buddy. You guys have a good night.